in a kingdom of green mountains and winding rivers. There lived a young man named Mai An Tiêm. He was the adopted son of the king, known for his intelligence, kindness, and unwavering spirit. An Tiêm often said, "What we have is a gift from our ancestors and our own hard work." This simple belief, however, was misunderstood by some in the royal court. Jealous officials whispered to the king, suggesting that An Tiêm was ungrateful for the king's favor. Swayed by these words, the king grew angry. He decided to teach his son a lesson he would never forget. "If you believe so strongly in your own efforts," the king declared, "then let's see if you can survive on your own." And so, the king ordered Mai An Tiêm and his small family to be exiled to a remote, deserted island, far from the shores of the kingdom. They were given only a small amount of food and water, just enough to last a few days. As the royal boat disappeared over the horizon, Mai An Tiêm stood on the barren shore with his wife and children. The island was a wild, untamed place, surrounded by the vast, unforgiving sea. There were no homes, no fields, only sand, rocks, and dense, unfamiliar jungle. Despair could have easily taken root in their hearts, but An Tièm's spirit remained unbroken. He looked at his family and promised them they would not only survive, but they would thrive. His first task was to find shelter. Using his strength and ingenuity, he found a small cave in the side of a cliff, providing them a safe haven from the wind and rain. Next, he needed to find food. He fashioned a simple fishing rod from a sturdy branch and a line from plant fibers, catching fish from the clear coastal waters. He taught his children to gather edible roots and wild vegetables from the jungle, carefully distinguishing the safe from the poisonous. Life was hard, but together they managed day by day, fueled by hope and their love for one another. Months passed. One day, as An Tiêm was walking along the beach, he noticed a flock of birds circling overhead. They swooped down, pecked at something on the sand, and then flew away, leaving behind a scattering of small black seeds. Curiosity piqued, and Tiêm walked over to inspect them. He had never seen seeds like these before. He wondered if the birds found them worthy to eat. Perhaps they could be a source of food for his family. He gathered the mysterious black seeds and carried them back to his small, makeshift camp. He remembered his father's teachings about farming and the wisdom passed down through generations. With a heart full of hope, he cleared a small patch of land near their cave, where the soil seemed richest. He carefully tilled the earth with a sharpened stick and planted the seeds, one by one, every day. He and his family tended to their little garden. They watered the soil with fresh water carried from a small spring he had discovered deep in the jungle. They protected the plot from insects and wild animals. They watched and waited, their hopes pinned on these tiny black seeds. Slowly, miraculously, something began to happen. Tiny green shoots pushed their way up through the soil, bathing in the warm sunlight. The shoots grew into long, sprawling vines that crept across the ground, their leaves a vibrant, healthy green net. It was a sign of life, a promise of a future on this desolate island. Before long, small, pale yellow flowers bloomed do zabinies, and as the flowers withered, they left behind small green orbs. The orbs grew larger and larger with each passing day, transforming into huge, round fruits with a dark green rind, striped with lighter green patterns. An Tiêm and his family had never seen anything like them. They were a complete mystery. They were hesitant to eat the strange fruit. What if it was poisonous? An Tiêm decided to wait. He watched as the sun ripened the fruits, their rinds growing tougher. One day, the largest of the fruits seemed to call to him. He tapped it gently, and it made a hollow, resonant sound. He decided it was time. With his family gathered around, he carefully cut the large fruit open. Inside, they were met with a breathtaking sight. The flesh was a brilliant, deep red, dotted with the same black seeds that started it all. A sweet, refreshing aroma filled the air. Taking a small, cautious bite, An Tièm's eyes widened in surprise. The fruit was incredibly juicy and wonderfully sweet, unlike anything he had ever tasted. It was a gift from the earth, a reward for their perseverance. They named the fruit Dahu, or watermelon, because they had found the seeds on the west side of the island. The watermelons were not just delicious. They were a source of nourishment and hydration, quenching their thirst under the hot island sun. Their little garden flourished. Soon they had more watermelons than they could possibly eat. An Tiêm, ever the thoughtful man, thought of the sailors and merchants who might be lost at sea. He began carving his name and a message onto the rinds of the watermelons, hoping that someone might find them and know that this island was inhabited. He then carefully cast the marked fruits into the ocean, letting the currents carry them away. He did this again and again, sending his sweet, red-fleshed messengers out into the world. It was a long shot, a message in a bottle, but it was a chance. Meanwhile, back in the kingdom, the king often thought of his adopted son. His anger had faded, replaced by a growing sense of regret and worry. He wondered if An Tiêm and his family had survived. He sent ships to search for the island, but the ocean was vast, and they always returned with no news. The king's heart grew heavy with each passing day. One day, a trading ship sailing near the deserted island spotted strange, large, green fruits floating in the water. Curious, the sailors fished one out. They saw the carvings on the rinder name they recognized, Mai An Tiêm. Cutting it open, they discovered the sweet red fruit inside. Astonished, they realized that An Tiêm must be alive. The sailors followed the trail of floating watermelons, which led them directly to the island. When they landed, they found not a barren wasteland, but a thriving little homestead. They saw Mai An Tiêm, his wife and his children, healthy and strong, surrounded by fields of sprawling green vines laden with fruit. The sailors rushed back to the kingdom, bringing with them a watermelon as proof. They presented it to the king and told him the incredible story of Mai An Tièm's survival. The king was overwhelmed with emotion. He was filled with pride for his son's resilience and resourcefulness, and deep shame for his own impulsive cruelty. Without a moment's delay, the king himself boarded a royal ship and sailed to the island. When he saw his son, he stepped ashore and embraced him, tears of joy and repentance streaming down his face. "My son," he said, "I was wrong. You were right all along." True wealth comes not from royal favor, but from one's own hard work, wisdom, and an indomitable spirit. Forgive me, Mai An Tiêm and his family were brought back to the kingdom, not as exiles, but as heroes. They brought with them the precious watermelon seeds. And Tiêm taught the people how to cultivate the wonderful fruit, and soon watermelon fields flourished throughout the land, becoming a symbol of hope, perseverance, and the sweet rewards of hard work. And so, the legend of Mai An Tiêm and the watermelon is told to this day. It's a story that reminds us that even in the most desolate of places, a single seed of hope, when nurtured with determination and belief, can grow into something truly magnificent. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more tales from around the world.